Surprise! Merry Christmas and Happy New Year's. I had said previously that I wouldn't be able to put out a second video before 2025, but I like to break expectations like this. That's my excuse for my honesty being on par with a modern games journalist. Anyway, wokeness and DEI in games, these are things that you've probably heard about in the last couple of years, more so in the last month. If you're not aware of what wokeness is, it's effectively an ideology that seeks to categorize people based on things that they do not control, i.e. their skin tone, sexuality, gender identity, and so on, and then placing them within an abstract hierarchy of oppression from an explicitly Western perspective. So if you're white, you're at the bottom of the oppression pyramid, and if you're, say, a black, disabled, lesbian, transgender, then you're at the top. And because you, dear viewer, are a black, disabled, transgender lesbian, you need to be represented primarily through erasing other already existing characters or hijacking other games in order to fit the message. And also to own the chuds and far-rightists who just want to, I don't know, play a video game normally without being lectured by some fact. How dare you just want to play a fun video game to escape the depressing aspects of real life without pandering to the sensitivities of some weirdo in San Francisco, Heil Hitler. And before I continue, no, having characters that just so happen to be bisexual or lesbians or black does not a DEI game make. A DEI game is one that puts ideology and propaganda first and a video game second, explicitly so. And oh lovely, there are plenty of examples of DEI games, especially in the year of 2024. We saw this multiple times this year. Do you remember this game, Zao? I don't blame you if you don't. I heard about it like once on my feed and then only remembered it existed when I saw it nominated at the Game Awards despite having at peak like 300 players or some shit. A flop of a game that, despite any positive aspects it might have had, effectively functioned as a We Was Kangs type shit. Unimaginative, boring, and full of that sweet baby ink money. To the surprise of a whole two people, no, Jim Sterling doesn't count, the studio went under. And the game was such a hard failure that a lot of people just never found out that this game existed. It was mentioned during the Shill Awards, the Game Awards, of course, because some hack probably bent over at the right angle in order to try to get some clout for that failure of a game and to justify the studio, or at least people related to that studio, coming back. Because Chinese money is Chinese money, and that's cleaned with the blood of innocent children in factories. Here's another one, Dustborn, a government-funded game, and yes, government-funded because it received funding from the European Union of all fucking things. You cannot convince me that Dustborn wasn't a massive money laundering scheme, although you could almost do so by showing the behavior of developers of this game, who believe themselves to be above everybody else. But regardless of that, Dustborn was a somehow unfinished as fuck game, despite being many years in the making, lacking entire segments of the game, plot points, mechanics, and being so blatant with its retelling of the message that not only do people remember this game primarily for a song about refugees, but it's also a game where the plot revolves around words having literal power, and you can bully people into doing what they want in your quest to fight evil fascism. Said fascism being basic border policies, because, you know, you couldn't get any more blatant than that, now could ya? Did you know that this game, despite reinforcing the idea of please no hate speech, actually incentivizes you to use your words to bully people into self-harm? Yeah, be compassionate, loving, and understanding, but bully your friends into suicide if they don't agree with doing what you want them to do. Needless to say, this game flopped and was really when a lot of people started to catch on to the whole modern audience slop. And in case people have memories of Goldfish, there was another reminder of what modern audience slop really is. Dragon Age Veilguard, or as I like to call it, Dragon Age Failguard. A game in a fantasy setting that, despite having literally every single excuse to have modern inclusivity in it, characters transitioning, homosexuals, bisexuals, people of all different races working together, you know, the usual stuff, somehow managed to fail at integrating it into a proper video game. The game, contrary to what professional critics that have, you know, all the integrity in the world, I swear, tell you, is actually pretty ass. Bland, repetitive, mostly unimaginative, with Persian disabled ninjas or whatever the fuck that's supposed to be, who are also elves because, okay? And what appears to be a teenager going through a teenager phase, complaining to their mothers that they're non-binary and crying that they're not accepted despite the equivalent of non-binary already existing in Dragon Age, but that just gets ignored because they have have to use the correct term because, you know, modern audience and shit.
Thanks to Tosh.
That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
Alright, then you're a fact.
I thought Veilguard really had reached the peak of modern audience slop in major video games, but no, it just got even worse this year, because when the Game Awards came out, right after they showed one of the best trailers that people probably have ever seen, or at least saw this year, for Okami 2, they showed a trailer for a game that seemed to be trying way too hard to be Cowboy Bebop, an upcoming game by Naughty Dog with a lot of work put in by Neil Druckmann. You know Neil Druckmann, the guy with the reputation for being more concerned with making you view him plowing a muscled-up car transmitter than making actual video games. Still, it looked relatively high quality until... Can we stop with this crap for 5 minutes? Look, I know some people have already written some comments saying that I am terrible and that I'm DEI myself because I just so happen to be trans, how dare I? Contrary to popular belief, or popular quote-unquote, someone being LGBT does not make them an object, nor does it make them believe that every character should be turned into a walking social justice stereotype. But the existence of LGBT people also does not justify this crap being introduced into media, nor does it justify hijacking games discourse, and so on to push a DEI agenda. And you might be saying, well, the character, the fucking pinhead in Intergalactic, which is the name of the game, isn't confirmed to be LGBT. And you know what? Maybe she isn't. But that doesn't negate the fact that this product placement of a fucking trailer is another sign of the current DEI environment, where every woman needs to be ugly, every man needs to be a walking retarded stereotype, and every LGBT character needs to be fucking struggling pansy of a teenager. Moreover, it's a Naughty Dog game, a modern Naughty Dog game, so you know what, I'm probably gonna be right in the end anyway. Inclusivity, wokeness, DEI in games is fucking shit. Since the dawn of video games, we have had inclusivity. But that inclusivity was natural. We had female characters, we had homosexual characters, we had everything. And this pivot to insecure ideological shite is destroying video games and is being used as a weapon to curb stomp what is probably, possibly, most likely, one of the very last escapist methods that people have in their daily lives. We play video games to have fun, to play games, not to watch movies or be lectured to by freaks with a next-level hormone ingester fetish. Even if the game is decent, I say fuck it entirely, because allowing this shit to take hold in modern video games is fucking dangerous, because it will allow activists to gain a foothold within an industry they have no business being in. And don't give me that shit of games were always political or some shit. I don't think Metal Gear Solid even comes close to being close to magic creatures with horns on their heads from a fantasy land in an alternate universe using Tumblrite terminology from 2017. Nor does it justify the pattern of face scanning objectively good-looking people and making them look about as human as an IGN reporter, about as spiritually appealing as a blue sky social media user. DEI needs to die, and woke people should have woken up 5 hours ago because they're being called to school, where they should learn to function like normal human beings instead of trying to lecture people on how they should spend their free time or how they should think. Thank you very much. And if this didn't convince you and you're still a stormtrooper of the woke DEI brigade, then my pronouns are your/majesty, and you should refer to me as such. And if you agree with that, then you should put a Christ emoji in the comments of this video if you agree. And I can't believe I have to say this, but next year, Assassin's Creed Shadows is coming out, where they put the one black guy in medieval Japan in the role of a violent assassin. What did they mean by this? Don't pre-order that game, save yourself the trouble, and either buy a better game such as Sonic X Shadow Generations, Ghost Runner, or Kirby and the Forgotten Land, or donate it to me. Because despite not being a game developer, I can at least put it to better use than a green-haired gremlin bent over at the whim of an international NGO with government funding. Thank you guys for watching, thank you guys for rating, and I will see you all in the next one in 2025. Have a good one.